Morena, a ta mari e ki koutou e te wānau. Koutou kua ono mai ki te maha taki I tēnei pāpā o tanga mata ora e te ata nei. Tēnei te mei atu ki koutou katoa. Morena, good morning and welcome along to this live stream this morning. It's been a hot minute, hasn't it, e te iwi? I hope you and all of your families are keeping very well. Joining me, as you can see, I have the fabulous Dr. Maria Baker joining us today. Now, Dr. Maria Baker, huri nā ngāpui, te rarawa no hoki ko ia no hoki ko te pau tumu wakarai me ki o te Rau Ora. Morena ki a koe e Dr. Maria.
Morena Tamsin. Kia ora koutou.
Kia ora, tēnā koe. Thank you for joining me today.
Lovely to be here. Always great to connect with you, Tamsin, and the whānau across the Taranaki whānui. Kia ora koutou.
Kia ora, tēnā koe, Dr. Maria. Now, you kei te kāinga koe ne, kei te taitokerau?
Ai, no te hiko te ika. Oh, they're all good. Thank you, Tamsin. We're at home like many others, isolating because we've got our big mokopuna who tested positive during the week. So, and we've got a house full of critical workers as well. So they've been, continuing to do the mahi from the whare, like everybody else. But no, we're well, thank you. And hoping everybody else that's doing the same thing are good too. So, kia ora.
Kia ora, tēnā koe. For those of you who are just joining, welcome to your breakfast show. We're online today, and it has been a very hot minute. Joining me this morning, you can see my beautiful Maniwhiri Tuarangi. This is Dr. Maria Baker e te iwi, and she joins us from the far north today. She's Ngāpui, Te Rarawa, and she is indeed the Chief Executive Officer of Te Rau Ora, which is our kaupapa Māori organisation. But I'm not going to give too much away about what Te Rau Ora does and is, because that's why I have Dr. Maria joining me. So, Dr. Maria, we're talking about Te Rau Ora, this beautiful kaupapa that is very dear to your heart. Could you please tell us a little bit about the origins of Te Rau Ora and what the purpose of the kaupapa is?
Sure, happy to. We were called Te Rau Matatini. We established back in 2002. And we came about secondary to the rarus and some of the challenges still back in the day with our whānau receiving mental health services, and a number of us had passed away, and there was a trigger to the first Mason review. And what had come out of those recommendations were two core things, really, was to increase the number of our whānau Māori to be working at frontline with our people, and to increase the number of kaupapa Māori services and programs. So what came out of that was a bit of a gem, really, and a journey where there was a real focus on accelerating a number of whānau Māori that will work across the health workforce, and especially with a focus on mental health and addiction. So we were really fortunate to be curated and created at a time when Tariana Turia was the Associate Minister of Health, and of course Sir Mason Jury now, but known as Dr. Mason Jury at the time, who was the second Māori psychiatrist in Aotearoa, had been significantly contributing to policy and national kind of change, and was also associated with Massey University. So we came out of a kaupapa of a tuakana teina process, actually, where the first program that was established was Te Rau Pūwai, a really awesome program still going in Massey University, and they're our tuakana, so they were created in 99. We came in afterwards, and being supported by the same whānau with Te Rau Pūwai, with Sir Mason and Whaia Tariana, and we were created initially under the korowai, if you like, of Massey University, and then we sort of merged out into becoming an independent organisation called Te Rau Matatini, and established our very humble whare in the Manawatu, so that's our haukainga. And of course we were supported by the wonderful kaumātua Rocky Hudson, who was resident at the time in Papaoia, and was our number one kaumātua, and pretty much facilitated a process for the organisation to stand up as the first national Māori workforce development centre with a specific focus on mental health and addiction. So we come from a massive legacy of just, I think, wonderfulness. I think certainly from the aspirations of many, Sir Mason, Matua Rocky Hudson. Part of our first governance, of course, was Hayden Wano, and we've had many whānau from Taranaki who've actually contributed to our journey over the years and continue to do so right now. So since then, we've been chugging away and really focusing on supporting the number of our whānau to work across the sector in terms of health and social care and being in places and spaces that can awhi our whānau in a whole lots of different ways. And we rebranded to become Te Rau Ora in 2019 as a purposeful kind of strategy to sort of widen what it is we're doing. Like anything Māori, we don't sort of just go in there to do one thing. And we're very much about a holistic kind of whole of whānau approach. So now we're known as Te Rau Ora, but we always honour our whakapapa from Te Rau Matatini and, of course, our tuakana with Te Rau Pūai.
Wow, that's a pretty amazing like evolution there, going through all those. Is it because of the stages and the phases that you went through why the name shifted and changed?
Yeah, we've sustained the korero around Te Rau Matatini because it was established to represent the many faces and the many people and the many sort of options and opportunities over the time. So we've sustained that whakaaro, and we've just broadened out to bring this whole notion around Te Rau Ora to really enable us as a whānau Māori really to flourish and to thrive. And that's what we're all about these days. So we very much believe that workforce is whānau Māori wherever we are. Be it we have champions in our homes, all of us do. We believe that. We have leaders in our communities. We believe that. We have leaders in our tamariki and our rangatahi and our kuia kaumātua and all in between. And we have leaders of those of us that choose a specific type of pathway to, enter into hauora or social services or that sort of, awhi manaki kind of role. In addition to many of us that are, in specific positions of leadership and decision making around policy and puti and things like that. So our belief is whānau Māori are the workforce in the health and social care space. So I think a lot of what we've done is about timeliness and what's happened across the generations, and really pushing and moving to stay, to do what's right. I mean, I think if anything for us, thinking back of our legacy and our journey, it has been about staying true to being Māori and being very much focused on our people now and into the future. Those are the things that have been, I think, that have held us steadfast in where we've come from and where we'll be going to. Yeah.
Kia ora. Tēnā koe, Dr. Maria. For those of you who are just joining me, Dr. Maria Baker, Ngāpui Te Raroa joins us. She's the CEO of Te Rau Ora. Now, could you talk to us a little bit about some of the obstacles, the major obstacles that you've encountered along the way in your personal journey with the kaupapa?
Yeah, well, I guess like anything, when you're trying to shift, and look, many of us will have a whakapapa of this anyway. It's a whole, 100 odd years, isn't it? 180 odd years since, the colonial forces came into Aotearoa. The reality is that we are still working with a health system, for example, that's never been tailored for Māori, ever. Actually, what has been. And so over the years, we've seen the fight for the reo, the fight for kura kaupapa, our mātauranga Māori, our wānanga, the fight for Māori services, for kaupapa programs, for Māori being in key positions, that fight is still continual, that whawhai. And, it's tiring, but hey, none of us come into this mahi to relax. We come into this mahi to make change, wherever it is. Whoever it is, there's a reason that we choose a career or we choose to do mahi or to be action orientated, because there needs to be change for our whānau. Most of the time that we connect with our colleagues and those coming through, or those leaders that are already working in the spaces, we do all have whānau stories. All of us have some sort of whānau connection with what drives us to make change and to make sure that there are quality health services. And, the realities is that the system is still challenging. I mean, we still have inequalities. There are still challenges with understanding Māori wish to be self-determining and to have mana motuhaki and tino rangatiratanga still, and however, at the same time, you know, there's been some shift. I've been around for quite a while, and there's been some shift. You know, what the wonderful thing is that there's a massive increase. Looking 20 years ago to now, there's a massive increase of Māori that are qualified. There's a massive increase of Māori working across health and social services, in community, in structures, in institutions. Sure, there's not enough of us, but there's a massive increase of what it was. There's more kaupapa services, there's more opportunities, but we still need more. There are still huge issues for us as a whānau Māori in terms of our health, our well-being in general. And we've seen that through COVID, where it's just sort of really re-emphasised some of the challenges that we had in the system prior. So yeah, there's been some challenges, but hey, you know, what isn't there a challenge in our lives? I think in some ways we just kind of move on or move it out of the way. So, you know, haere tonu. So I think that's the drive really about, but I do think, you know, what's really kept us is about, you know, holding fast about thinking Māori, you know, to be quite honest, you know, throughout the whole 20-year journey, if anything else, everything that's been done within the organisation has had a whakaaro Māori, mātauranga Māori, Māori inform it, you know, to say that, you know, Māori's integral in Māori health, Māori's integral in the Māori health workforce. It's also integral in our organisation. So I think that those things have been really important. And just believing in your goals and your vision, you know, go for it. And yeah, with all the rarus, the wonderful thing across both Te Rau Puai, Te Rau Matatini and Te Rau Ora is there's a massive collective of us across the motu.
Sure.
And so we reach out to each other when we need, you know, if we need awhi. Sometimes our roles have changed. Sometimes we've left the country, you know, and we reach out to each other, you know, all sorts of different things. So the whanaungatanga and the kotahitanga amongst those that are being connected and still is really strong. And I think that that's what helps with the movement, you know, around the Māori health agenda.
Awesome. You mentioned in the introduction talking about the origins of Te Rau Ora, some key people. Dr. Sir Mason Jury, Uncle Rocky Hudson. You know, ko ai atu e te hi o ngā tangata kua tautoko i te kaupapa. Who are some of our other key people?
Yeah, look, heaps. If I think about so Hayden Wano was one of our first chairs within the trust. Barry Bublitz, whose mama's from Taranaki. We've had Whaiakura Denise, who was a chair during our stages. At the moment, we continue to work with the whānau at Tui Ora and other places across Taranaki. We've recently been working and supporting Whaia Mata Wharehoka through the Parihaka Mahi and the Tūpapaku work. There's been a heap of people, actually. We've had, you know, from outside Dorohe, you know, wonderful people like Te Puia Winiata, Mataroa Ma, Phyllis Tangitu, Moi Milne, Hini Moa Alda, Sylvia Van. So many. There are just so many. And of course, we've had, you know, because of now 20 years, of course, we've had, you know, a lot of our whānau that have been with us that we've lost over the time. You know, and you know, for us, like any whānau, I guess going through our kind of reflection of our 20 years has also been a recognition of everybody, you know, so whatever we've succeeded in, our whānau Māori have succeeded in, and we wouldn't have been able to do what we've been able to do without everybody. And we sort of think about those that have really worked hard, continue to work hard, but have left this world, and, you know, they continue to be part of our memories and our whakapapa, really. So, and Matua Rocky was just massive with us. We had the opportunity before he came home to hold an AGM back in Papaoia, and it was really lovely to have him and the whānau come up. So that was our last time to see him before he left this world. But we always have him in our hearts, in our minds, and you know, it's those things that kind of, you know, always prompt us to consider the legacy, the kaitiakitanga, and the things that we need to be doing for others. You know, this is not about me. This is about us and about our kaupapa in terms of what we want to see as a whānau Māori.
Kia ora, tēnā koe, Dr. Maria. One of the other important questions, actually, that I really wanted to ask you was around the what does it mean for Te Rau Ora celebrating your 20th birthday, a 20th anniversary. So looking towards the future, Dr. Maria, for Te Rau Ora, what does that potentially look like from your perspective as the CEO?
Well, I guess, look, celebrating 2 decades of enabling, Māori excellence across Rau Ora is massive. But, I guess it's hard to imagine in the midst of a pandemic, that we look to celebrate our 20th anniversary. So we try to do that humbly. But we do take some pride in knowing that there's, amongst all of us that have been associated with each other, that there has been this increase in a number of our whānau that are working in spots or being influenced in places and things like that, and just being part of the mahi. There's still a lot to do in terms of improving the health and well-being of Māori. There's still an issue around effective health services. And what we need to be looking at is actually developing and strengthening our own Māori health and social care system. So that's what we're seeing now. The setup of the Māori Health Authority will assist that. There have been numbers of Māori providers and organisations and programs that are set up, that are governed and led by Māori. That is our system. When our whānau and any community actually are delivered care in those places, then you're going to get awesome health outcomes. It's what's happening inside the mainstream system that we still have issues with. So I think, the last 20 years has seen huge growth, but there are still challenges along the way. I just think that really this is an opportunity for us to say, hey, things can be achieved with assertive support and investment and awhi around the Māori agenda. And I just think the next few years, who knows, I think part of it is that we will continue to grow and remain a voice for Māori, advocating up and across the health system. And I just think that we'll just continue that kaupapa furthermore. What's really exciting, I think, even more too, is being a little bit more closer to our regions and our iwi and our hapu, and some of the work that are happening in places, and looking to support, if people desire us, to enable them to be successful in any way possible around the, be it the Rau Ora workforce space or the organisational kind of development space. So, yeah.
That's awesome. That's absolutely beautiful. Dr. Maria Baker, I know you've got a big day ahead of interviews and lots of people are trying to chase you, especially this morning. So I just wanted to hand it over to you. If you got any, any other comments or karo that you'd like to share with our whānau this morning?
Kia ora, Tamsin. It's been a pleasure to connect with you and the whānau this morning. Just really want to say thank you to everybody that's been part of our journey. Thank you for everything that you're doing, and thank you for trusting us and supporting us, and hope that we can be of value to you going forward as well, with whatever aspirations and goals you may have. So kia ora koutou and take care. Kia ora.
Tēnā koe, Dr. Maria Baker. Kore pau ngā mihi ki a koe. Thank you for being your extraordinary self. We see you and we are grateful for everything that you do and your beautiful team at Te Rau Ora as well. I love what you said at the start of the interview, and with referencing your, the legacy of Te Rau Ora. And I'm just really, really honoured to have you on the show with us this morning. So on behalf of all of us here in Taranaki, Dr. Maria Baker, we're sending you so much love there in the far north. God bless you and your family. Ngā mihi aroha ki a koe. Tēnā koe.
Ngā mihi, Tamsin. Kia ora. Ka kite.
Ka kite. I te wānau, Dr. Maria Baker, ngā puhi. She is also Te Rarawa, and she is the CEO for Te Rau Ora. And how lucky are we to have her on the breakfast show with us this morning? It's been a hot minute. I haven't actually had any interviews this year, so Dr. Maria Baker is the only interview that I've had this year so far. So to all of you who have watched the interview this morning with us live, and to those of you who will watch this interview in the future, nei te mei atu ki koutou katoa. No reira mangāri ki te wā i ngā ro koutou katoa e manaki, rire hau, pai mā rire.